Hey everybody, it is Blonde Blitz time. Let's go.
He's had, but I still like the Commanders.
I'm also tough.
DeMar Chase. I'm looking at that Cincinnati team against the Cleveland Browns.
Well, as soon as I saw the rain last night, I was wondering if that might be a little bit of a factor as well.
Play that week is really going to be more impacted.
With the Raiders, who got Jacoby Myers back.
The same thing with Joe Burrow. You just expect Joe Burrow to do it because he's been to a Super Bowl.
It's time to send in the Blitz with Deb Whitcas and the Blonde Blitz.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Blonde Blitz. I'm your host, Deb Whitcas. Week 10 has passed, and week 11 is upon us. We've got a great show for you today. My special guest is a trailblazer in girls flag football. She's a member of the USA Football 15U and U.S. Select teams. She's also a singer-songwriter who wrote the anthem for NFL females in flag. It's called We Run This House. It's also the title of her new book, and we will talk all about it. Also on today's show is my friend and fellow sports reporter host, Maria Sorreo from Cox's Media show, Playing the Field. She's here to help me out with hot takes for week 10. And as usual, sports comedian Haley Brooks joins us for Week 10 Funny. Sports clothing designer Mel the Clothing is back to tell you all how to get the perfect game day fit. Sports betting expert Alex White is here for your best bet for Week 11, along with fantasy expert Ballers Meg. Intuitive Raider 333S Carey looks at her power deck for the Bengals versus Steelers game. And finally, you guys know what's coming. Ben Troupe, former tight end for the Bucks and the Titans, is here for Week 11 game picks. All right, guys, let's get it all started with headlines.
Now to Deb Whitcas with the Blonde Blitz headlines.
Week 10 was loaded with comebacks, milestones, and standout performances across the league. The Bears, Texans, and Colts all won on game-winning drives, continuing a season full of late drama. In Berlin, Jonathan Taylor powered the Colts to a 31-25 overtime win over Atlanta with 286 scrimmage yards and 3 touchdowns, the most ever in an international game. Matthew Stafford threw 4 touchdowns in a 42-26 Rams win over San Fran, becoming just the 9th QB in NFL history to reach 400 career TD passes. Lamar Jackson earned his 73rd win in 100 career starts as Baltimore topped Tennessee 27-19, while Devon Achane and Trayvon Henderson each broke the 200-yard mark in dominant rushing performances for Miami and New England. NFC Players of the Week on the offense, we got Jahmyr Gibbs of the Lions, 172 yards and 3 touchdowns in a 44-22 win at Washington. On the defense, DeMarcus Lawrence of the Seahawks, 2 fumble return touchdowns and 4 tackles, the 3rd player ever to record 2 in one game. And on special teams, Nathan Shepard of the Saints blocked a key field goal and added a sack in a 17-7 win. Moving on to AFC Players of the Week on the offense, we've got Jonathan Taylor of the Colts, 286 scrimmage yards and 3 touchdowns in Berlin, breaking the international single game record. On the defense, we've got Danielle Hunter of the Texans, 3.5 sacks, 4 TFL, and a forced fumble in a 36-29 comeback win. And finally, on the special teams, we got Kwe Nwangu, 99-yard kickoff return touchdown, his 5th career return score of 95-plus yards. All right, guys, that is your headlines for Week 10 of this 2025 NFL season. Next, we have one of my special guests. She's a friend. She's also a fellow sports reporter and the host of Cox's Media, Playing the Field. She's here to help me out with hot takes for Week 10. Everyone, please welcome Maria Sorreo.
Next caller is Deb Whitcas, who says she has some really hot takes.
Maria, thank you so much for being here on the Blonde Blitz with me today. I'm so excited to have you.
Oh, absolutely. It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, unfortunately, I want to start off with some bad, not very sad news.
Yeah.
I wanted to recognize Paul Tagliabue, the NFL commissioner from 1989 to 2006. He passed away on November 9th. I just personally wanted to extend my condolences to his family, his friends, the league. In your eyes, what did the commissioner contribute during his years?
This same, condolences to his family and friends. He was one of the pioneers in the NFL. These positions they're not open very often. And so I think the relationships that he had built over time with owners and teams is really the most important thing. And he did it at a very, very high level for a long time. So he stayed within that NFL family. And I think the fact that he endured for a long time and over time was super important. He was also huge in instituting the Rooney Rule, to make sure that a lot of coaches would have the opportunity, whether they were African American or whatever their backgrounds were, that they'd have an opportunity to get out there and be a part of a team at a very high level. So I think when you go out on a limb and you try to make change in the league, it's something he'll always be remembered for.
Absolutely. Such huge growth during those years. I feel like baseball used to be America's sport. And during that time, he really, contributed as much as he could and almost beat out baseball. Dare I say that?
It's interesting you say that, because I think especially in the last 20 years, I would say football is the number one sport. Mm-hmm. And where football used to be a very seasonal sport, now we see football all season, as far as people know when the owners' meetings are. They know when the spring workouts are. They know when the draft starts. So it's really, it used to be like Super Bowl, and then they did the Pro Bowl, and you were like, oh my God, there's no football now forever. And it's so different now. It's so different.
It's a yearly thing. I get depressed right after Super Bowl, I have to be honest. So
right, of course.
I'm there for the combine. I'm there for the draft.
Right, exactly.
So all of training camp and
but I think that for fans, they before it was just like Super Bowl, Pro Bowl. Oh my gosh, there's nothing else.
Yeah.
But for us, we know when all these things are. But now fans know when all these things are too, because they're posting and you see them online and you're like, wow, this is crazy. But it's changed.
Cool to see. Also, I wanted to discuss, unfortunately, Marshawn Nealon's passing last week as well, former DE for the Dallas Cowboys. We saw him score his first touchdown on Sunday's game, playing the Cardinals, and then Thursday he committed suicide from a self-inflicted gunshot wound following a police chase. Just tragic.
It is so tragic. And the mental health is it's such a huge part of the NFL and the awareness that it brings. I knew Junior Seau back in the day when he played, and it's so strange, but after he stopped playing, he would do a lot of different things. And I remember seeing him, he was doing a show at an IndyCar race, and it was kind of a fun show, like, watch an NFL player do this or do that. So he was going to be like a tire changer. And I will never forget seeing him at that event, and shortly after he committed suicide. And it just seems, it's something that I think we have to recognize, and these guys have to get help for, because they have so many concussions. They don't really know what it does to your brain, whether while you're playing or later in life. And I think that we just have to be open to understanding what mental health, the crisis that's really out there, and what we can do to be a part of that to help these people.
Absolutely. And I think the NFL does do a good job with it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't see this too much, but
thankfully, because it's so incredibly sad.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get into some better news. Talking about the Patriots and Buccaneers game, New England beat Tampa 28-23, 7 wins in a row. They're 8-2. They lead the AFC East right now. Are the Patriots the dark horse of the NFL this season?
Well, with Mike Vrabel as their head coach, I mean, he is the heart and soul of the New England Patriots. And it's so funny because as you know, this has been such an interesting season thus far with teams like the Baltimore Ravens, where every year you come in and say they're going to the Super Bowl,
Right.
and then you think, oh,
I said it the first day. The first
right,
day
exactly. We always
and then they
do.
lost it.
Right. And you look at the Patriots, and you always knew they were going to come back, but Tom Brady leaves, and then they have all these players that have retired or moved on, and you just wonder, like, how long is it going to take? Well, I think they're on their way back for sure.
I think they're on their way back for sure. I mean, Drake May, second year, he's performing.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, MVP levels. They have such a strong defense, I feel, too.
Right.
I've seen some questionable things. I've watched every game. I've seen questionable things from the offense, but still playing strong. I do think they have a little bit of an easy schedule, but they beat Tampa Bay.
Yes, I mean they have to play teams like Miami that are not doing well. I mean, teams within their division, so you have to kind of go, well, you know, the Jets, I don't know if that's really a huge win, but I think that they're on their way back. Do I put them in they're going to the Super Bowl category? I don't, but I think that they have to beat the best, right? So they're going to have to beat Kansas City. Denver is on its way up. There's many AFC teams now that you're kind of going, they're really good, and maybe they'll make the playoffs, and I think that's going to be a huge win for them.
And I think so too. I don't see them getting to Super Bowl, but not this year. Soon though. I mean, they're definitely on the up and up.
They're on the rise.
I'm so excited for all my Patriots fans because they with Tom Brady leaving and all of that, and then the last couple seasons, some of my friends were actually rooting for them to get the first pick in the draft. Like they were rooting for them to lose, which you never want to see, right?
Ever. No, I hate when people say that too, because I'm like, no, that means they're gonna have a terrible season. So
it's awful. I was talking about another positive thing. Keenan Allen, who I love.
Yes.
Antonio Gates, also who I love, on most receptions in Chargers history. Maria, you cover the Chargers a lot. I know you're there. How do you feel this season's going for them?
You know, I think they are another AFC team that's on their way up. And I was there the other day when he broke the record, and he is so grateful. And Antonio is just such a nice person. I know that he was very, very happy to see Keenan do that, you know. So there is this feeling, this camaraderie, because once a Charger, always a Charger. But as far as the team goes, I have to tell you, Justin Herbert has found his head coach in Jim Harbaugh. They are in love with each other, and
we kind of knew that, right?
They are really. They're kind of morphing into the same person. It's so funny to now watch the way that Harbaugh talks in interviews, and I watch the way that Justin's talking, and I'm like, wow, they really do connect on a very, very high level. And the wide receiver I tell everybody to look out for is Ladd McConkey.
Yes, I could have
Ladd
said
McConkey. He's unbelievable. Yes. Very low key, very under the radar, but he's excellent. And it's interesting because I remember last year seeing him for the first time and just in practice, and I was like, wow, who is this guy? He almost reminds me of when Cooper Kupp first came to the Rams. He plays at that level as far as I'm concerned. And so I think the more they can get him the ball, and with Keenan Allen there with them, I mean, it's such a good tandem of wide receivers. So I mean, they're looking good. Their O-line has been decimated this year. And I'm going to tell you, that next man up mentality it has worked for them. And I'm so proud of the way that they're playing, and they just are continuing on. So, I mean, beating the Steelers, Aaron Rodgers, yes, he looked old, and that's kind of tough to see because the week before he played great, but I think that once you get to that stage, it's kind of like off and on, but the Chargers, they look good.
They do. Cameron Dicker, I think, has been doing great. He's
always the best kicker. He's got to be the best kicker in the NFL. There's no question. And
you and I were talking actually at the Rams practice about how special teams this season across the league has been off, but not Cameron.
Not Cameron. No, I should have looked that up, like how many he's actually missed, but it's not very many. He's very good. He's accurate. He's got a very, it's interesting for a kicker. A lot of kickers are very uptight. When you see them, they're very, very tunnel vision focused. He is a little bit more, he has some of that, but he's also kind of happy-go-lucky kind of guy, you know, and so it's interesting.
Yeah, I feel like Cameron Dicker and Jake Elliott are very similar personality-wise and kicking styles, you know, from the Eagles as well. So
Yeah.
you mentioned the duo of wide receivers, another great pair, Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua from the Rams.
And then there are 10,000 tight ends. It's like
Yes, they're all very good.
I've never seen a Rams team in a very long time, even while I've been covering them, that have two, maybe Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp for a pretty good combination as well. But this offense, they are being overlooked. And I'm just going to say it here because they're being overlooked. They're very good. Matthew Stafford is playing at such a high level.
Yes.
You know, before the season, everyone's like, well, he's not top 10 anymore. And I was like, I got into two arguments. I said, name me 5 quarterbacks who are better than Matthew Stafford. And then, okay, maybe he's 5 or 6. There is no question that you could consider him in the top 3. And
Absolutely.
A lot of people would not agree with me, but who is better at this point?
Well, Maria, San Francisco game, he threw for 280 yards, 4 touchdowns. In the New Orleans games, he threw for 281 and four touchdowns there. And Jacksonville, 182 yards and 5 touchdowns. Who is better? He should definitely be in the VMP, MVP talks for sure.
And not only that, but think about this too, Deb. He is throwing to multiple wide receivers, multiple tight ends. He is getting the ball out. We've seen him throw to Tutu Atwell. We've seen him throw to, you know, of course, Devontae and Puka are always going to get, you know, the ball, but he is throwing to Xavier. I mean, everybody on that roster you look at, and they've gotten a touchdown from him.
Absolutely. He spreads it around the field. Absolutely. And
Yes.
McVay's coaching is top notch as well.
Yes.
I think the Rams are going to the Super Bowl. We'll see.
I mean, at this stage, it's, you know, we're up and over that. We get to see them on a daily basis. And so you just kind of go, they had to win the game in San Francisco.
Had to.
They did. They have a huge game coming up.
Yep, with the Seahawks too.
Huge game. If they dominate the way they dominated in San Francisco, Seattle's coming here, but if they dominate like that,
yeah,
look out.
Yeah, watch out. Well, someone who unfortunately was not dominating, head coach Brian Daboll of the Giants.
Oh my God, the Giants.
He got fired. I have wanted to see him fired, honestly, for the last 2 years. He was always on my Black Monday list, but the Giants always made other moves. They finally, I think, made the correct one, possibly. What do you think?
You know, the Giants have been such a mess for so long.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, do you fire a coach in the middle of a season? This is always kind of a big conversation because then somebody else is going to take over that's on the staff usually because everybody else is working. And so then another guy is going to get an opportunity. But when you are not playing at the level that you want, or if there's some kind of animosity going on within the team and the head coach, I mean, you have to make a change, you know, and sometimes they'll throw out the offensive coordinator or, you know, the special teams coach. And you're like, that was just a gimme to say, well, we made a change, you know? So
exactly. And that's what they've been doing.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So to make this drastic of a change, I think that ownership had to step in and just say, you know, this isn't working. And so he's going to go. I mean, he will get another job as a coordinator somewhere. They always do, but you know, at some point you've got the head coach. Somebody once told me that, you know, the head coach is never the hero. The quarterback is the hero. The head coach always gets fired. So either he does a great job and he stays because it's his job, or he's out. And so, you know what, they've got to move on and find somebody else.
Yeah. Well, here's my concern about it is Jackson Dart. You know, Daboll's a huge Jackson Dart fan, and Jackson, you know, obviously he has a concussion at the moment from the Bears game last week, but he'll be back. So we'll scout him. So it's like, you make the change now, like you're finally clicking with your quarterback and your players, and now he just got fired. So
that's
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it was the right move. As much as I have not liked him in the last several years, but another questionable coach from last week's game, Sirianni. I mean, Eagles did win 10-7, But what an ugly game. And why
It
did Nick
was.
Sirianni? He punted the ball on 4th down, 30 seconds left, almost lost the game for the Eagles. Was this the right move for him to do at that time of the game?
You know what? I don't know. I don't know if that was the right move because I always give one game during a season to look at a team and just go, what the heck was that?
That is what we did. Yep.
Exactly.
I was screaming at the TV.
Yeah, 10-7. How was that game 10-7? It was just.
Yeah, that's true too.
It was absolutely crazy. And so I do think that Sirianni comes from that diabolical, crazy coaching tree that we know many, many coaches come from. And I think there's just some games where they make decisions that you just don't. I mean, where does it come from? What was he trying to do? I don't know. If it ever happens again, then I think we're going to have a whole conversation about. But I will tell you this. He has made some questionable moves that I've wondered about over the years. And
absolutely,
of course, they win the Super Bowl and, everything is perfect. But he's a wild card. I'll give him that. I don't know if you want to take that as good or bad, but sometimes he makes decisions that you just kind of go, what was that?
Yeah. And this was absolutely one of them.
Yeah,
he wanted to end the game by scoring and getting the 6-point lead. And at that point, it just didn't matter. It just mattered that they were going to win the game. And I would have punted the ball, but I'm not a coach. So
yeah, you know what? It's on him because, like I said, if he does bad things, he's going to get fired.
All right, Maria, thank you so much for joining us today. Where can our audience find you?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. At Playing the Field TV, or if you're in Southern California, you can see me on RPV TV channel 33 or Cox TV 4 in the South Bay.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I will see you on Friday. I'll be at the Rams.
I'll see you then.
All right. Talk to you soon. All right, guys, keeping in the Week 10 theme, here's sports comedian Haley Brooks with her funny take on everything that happened.
Okay, I got one for you. What did the wide receiver say to the football? Catch you later. Yeah, my jokes suck. That's why I watch the Blonde Blitz.
Haley,
hey.
Hello.
Hi, Deb. How are you?
Good. How are you? How's my Philly girl doing?
We're here.
What did you think of the play that
that game was so boring. It was so like I would have rather watched my toenails grow for the first like 3 quarters. But I mean, it had a great little payoff at the end. But my God, get to it.
Yeah, right. It was. I mean, the Eagles defense did their job. They kept them, kept them at bay, kept them low scoring game. But that last punt, Sirianni went for it. AJ Brown didn't happen, and they almost lost it.
Almost. It was. Thank God for a missed kick, right?
Yeah, right. Thank God for the missed kick. Thank God. He was going for what, like a 70-yarder or something? There was no way, but you never know.
I threw back a quick 70 yards real quick.
Yeah. I mean, no big deal, right?
So
what did you think about Week 10 in general?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I think the hot ticket item of Week 10, going to Berlin, going overseas, right? So we had the NFL taking over Berlin. We had the Falcons and the Colts. And my God, the NFL fans took over Berlin like it was 1933 all over again, Deb, or as I like to call it, modern day America. But yes, Germany has some NFL roots. I mean, even this show, the Blonde Blitz, right? So the blondes, Germans love the blondes. But of course, yeah, even if it comes from a bottle, it's fine. But the Blitz, like your show Blitz, comes from Blitzkrieg, which is German for rapid attack. Like when Bill Belichick gets a hold of the sleeves of a hoodie, he blitzes those things right off at the seams, right? Second Amendment, full-fledged, all the way, Bill. But for the attendees, no, he's doing fine. He's doing 27-year-old fine. He'll be fine. However old she is.
You have a point.
But oh my God, in Germany, I've been reading a lot of the articles. Obviously, I wasn't there. I can't afford that ticket. Like they were like starting at like $200 for the game. Yeah, not for me. For the 70,000 people that went, have at it. Congrats. But from what they've said, as far as the stadium food was very interesting, they renamed some of the menu items, like the ballpark hot dogs. They were called Anne Frank's. And the hamburgers, well, they were called Here Burgers. So there was a lot of interesting things for those who attended. Some of the positives I saw, the ease of getting into and from the game apparently were immaculate. I guess they put
hard to do.
Very hard to do.
That's the biggest part about why people do not go to NFL games, because the getting in and getting out sucks. Like it's
I have to wait 30 minutes just to get out of my parking spot. I'm not going to do it. But Germany, they seem to have figured it out. But a lot of people said they saw a lot more people going in than coming out. So they're putting those old trains back to use, I guess. But one complaint was that the lines for the concessions, people said that they were starved in line waiting for hours for food, which I believe to just be a good old authentic German experience. Now, I know what you're thinking. Enough about the Holocaust. We get it. We know what Germany did. But Germany's done a lot of other really cool things, Berlin in particular. In fact, the stadium where they played, I'm going to say this so wrong, Olympiastadion. To say it angrily, Olympiastadion. That's where the game was played. But that's also where, back in the day, that's where Jesse Owens won those 4 gold medals right in front of Hitler. Yes. So we got to see our own little version play out when Colts 26-year-old running back Jonathan Taylor made the play of the game, breaking free and running down the field for an 83-yard touchdown. When asked how he felt about emulating such a historic athletic feat by Jesse Owens, Taylor replied, "Is that Lightning McQueen's brother?" When the Germans were asked about Taylor's NFL performance, they replied, "She hasn't been here since July of 2024. But back to us here, right, Deb? Our Birds, we talked about it briefly, took on the Green Bay Packers in a terribly low, boring scoring game. I think for the first 3 quarters, I said I would have watched my toenails grow, but I think I would have rather watched meat being packed, which is what the Packers are named for. This is new information to me. They may be cheesehead, but the green and yellow are full-fledged meat packers. Green Bay is the NFL's 3rd oldest team and was literally named from the Indian meatpacking company. If we want to talk about offensive Indian team names, I would have started with the Indian meatpacking cheeseheads. That's the name that I would have renamed. But of course, our Birds lost that big win, whopping 10-7 final score. And we haven't spoken since Halloween, or like at least since Halloween happened, right? It's been a minute. I cannot tell you, I have children, and we're in Las Vegas, the amount of Eagles players I saw on Halloween. It was immaculate. It was so beautiful. Every small child who dressed up as an NFL player, they were an Eagles player. However, I saw a lot of Hurts jerseys, and I thought that was weird because if you wanted to dress up like a scary Eagles player, I would have gone with Michael Vick.
Oh, yes. Great football player. Questionable on the scale.
Questionable morals.
Yeah.
Don't they all?
I agree with that. Any Jay Brown jerseys there or no? All Hurts.
No, it was all Hurts. All Hurts. That's all they know. So the Hurts is our new Tom Brady, and yeah, I'm here for it.
All right. Well, Haley, thank you so much. Where can our audience find you?
Hey, you guys find me on Instagram at Haley Brooks is here, or TikTok, Haley's Happy Hour.
Awesome. We will see you soon.
Bye.
All right, guys, my next special guest, she's a 15-year-old trailblazer in girls flag football. She's a member of the USA Football 15U and US Select teams. She's also a singer-songwriter who wrote the anthem for NFL females in flag called We Run This House. It's also the title of her new book, and she's here to talk all about it.
I'm still waiting for my invite as a special guest on the Blonde Blitz. My agent is waiting for your call, Deb.
My guest is Anna Sophia Dickens. She is a 15-year-old athlete, singer-songwriter, and the author of the new book, We Run This House. I've got it right here. She is a wide receiver on the USA Football #1 ranked 15U women's flag football team and a player on the US Select team. All right, so Anna Sophia, why football? Why do you love it?
Well, I love football for so many reasons. I've been playing my whole life. One of the biggest reasons is that my dad loves football and so does my brother. And growing up in kind of a football family just being able to play football and give other girls that opportunity to play is like really exciting to me. So football's been really fun my entire life, and I'm so glad I get to keep playing it.
What age did you start and where and why?
I started playing flag football when I was 5, and I was on my older brother's team because there weren't any girls' teams. There wasn't any girls' divisions to play in. And I played in Matt Leinart, our local league. And I just played on my brother's team, and my dad was the coach, and I had the best time. And that's what kind of started my flag journey.
And what was it like playing with the boys?
It was different. I think that it definitely shaped who I am and shaped who I am as an athlete, because playing against boys and on a team with boys is definitely a different environment. It's a little bit more competitive, especially as a girl trying to prove that you deserve to be there, even if you're 2 grades younger and a girl. So I think that playing with boys was much more competitive, but it makes me grateful that I get to play with girls now.
You had mentioned in the book, you did an interview with Andrew Whitworth, a former offensive tackle, 16 seasons in the NFL, and he talked about how it's good for athletes to play different sports. So talk a little bit about how you feel about that.
I think being a multi-sport athlete's a really important thing for being a good flag football athlete or for any type of athlete. Like growing up, I tried to get a foot in every single sport, you know, basketball, I did competitive dance, soccer, tennis, all the sports with different types of coordinations. And I think that's helped me so much because in every sport, especially like a new sport like flag football, you can use different types of like coordination and like different skills that you've learned from different sports for every part of the sport. Like I can use my speed from soccer, I can use my like flexibility for a bunch of things. Like I think it's really important being a multi-sport athlete and being able to make adjustments to new sports, especially going into high school when you don't really know what sport you're going to be focusing on.
What teams have you played on starting from your youngest until now?
I grew up playing on my Matt Leinart team, the local league, with a bunch of my friends, and then we turned that team into a club team called the OC Seals. And right now we're 15U. We've been doing that club team for a long time. We've been going to the national tournaments in Vegas and Ohio for NFL flag. And then I tried out for Talent ID camp, and then I got MVP of the Talent ID camp, which gave me a ticket to play on the US Select team. So now I play on the US Select team, and I did that over the summer. And I recently got an invitation from the Select Team All League MVP or something that got me an invitation to try out for the real national team, and then my high school varsity football team.
So what is it like being 15 and playing for a US national team?
It's so cool. I think it's definitely a challenge because being so young and having to balance all these different things like school and sports, I think it's really challenging, but it's a really cool experience. Like I think it's so cool to be able to say that I worked for this and I got this and I deserve it, you know?
It's a balance. But how do you balance school and your friends and football and soccer all at the same time?
Growing up in Orange County also is a little bit different because people are always just doing things all the time. So whenever I'm not either sleeping or doing sports or school, I squeeze in all of my friend time there too.
You talked about it in the book, but how does women's flag football differ from men's tackle football?
I think it's different because there's this drive that the girls have to change the sport and push it forward. Like every game I'm a part of, it's super cool because there's a rule change. And like you're not going to see that like growing up playing a sport. Like I'm playing a game where every game there's some sort of like something you've never seen before. I can make up a move. I think that's like is the difference between flag and tackle because right now the rules are kind of different and growing. For the future of the game, I still think it'll still be different because girls are going to want to play America's favorite sport and impress the world and play this really fun sport that everyone loves to watch.
So you're a wide receiver, and how did you figure out that position was for you?
I think that position's kind of meant for me because my whole life I've been really trying to excel in my skills on catching, and that's something I've focused on. So I love catching and I love going out for deep passes and being super creative with my runs, especially from playing soccer. That's really helped with like running after I catch it. So that's my position, and I think that the catching part is kind of how I like got into that position.
Let's kind of go over the positions in women's flag football. What skills do you need to have for each position?
I talk a lot about this in my book for each chapter for each of the positions, but the wide receivers, it's mainly just speed and the ability to catch. Also, it takes a lot of mental skill to be a quarterback. Like it's hard, it's tough. Same with the receiver. Like you have to push everything out of your head. You have to push the whole audience out of your head when you're going up for that end zone pass. Like it's a whole different job. As a defender on flag football, it's it's less about the physicality as it is in tackle football. I mean, there's a lot of physicalness to this game because, the rules are iffy about how contact it is. It's no contact, but you have to be really physical. But it does take a really physical safety and corner who are in the back on defense. And then in the front, it takes quick, fast flag pullers. I play middle linebacker and I play rusher. And it takes having to be able to run super quick to the other side of the field and pull a girl's flag.
You talked a little bit before about football is a mental thing as well as physical. I wanted you to explain what you called your flow state in the book.
Well, when I get into the game, everything shuts out. It's just I know a lot of the athletes can definitely relate to this, but my mind kind of turns off and it's almost like just being locked in. Like the flow state is like just me relaxing and only focusing on my job. I'm not focusing on my math test. I'm not focusing on my friend drama. I'm not focusing on what the coach is about to say to me. When the ball's in the air, I focus, I lock in, and I'm in my flow state, and all I think about is how I'm going to use my hands in a diamond. I'm going to catch the ball. Like that's all I think about. Mentality is a huge thing in flag football.
What prompted you to write a book about women's flag football?
Well, I got really inspired by all of the support all these brands were giving girls in flag and how fast the game was moving forward, and I really just wanted to be a part of it. Another thing is, growing up, I was lucky enough to just be in the right place in the right time. I'm not the best on my team. I'm not any of that. I was just so blessed and lucky enough to be taught from the best coaches, from the select bowl coaches, from my coach Jason Geyser, who was my Matt Leinart girls team coach, who's my club team coach, who happens to be the best coach in the country for high school sports. And to get all this advice from people who want to help with mentality, like Michael Strahan and Andrew Whitworth and NFL players, just getting all that advice, I really, really wanted to put that all into a book and give it to girls so they could have that advantage too.
Can you give me an overall synopsis of the book?
Yeah, the book has things about mentality. It has tips for all of the positions that you want to play. It kind of has my backstory and how the game is growing, like how fast flag is growing, and just tons of tips for every single position and how you want to play, and it's just tons of advice from all of the best.
I love how you broke down every part of flag, to be honest. You made the differentiation between men's tackle, and you talked about team bonding, which I loved, how important that is, how to walk into the room. You guys are blinged out. You have confidence. It makes you feel better, kind of dressing for the part. You talked about the mental game as much as the physical. You break down the different positions. There was 2 or 3 things that really stuck out in my head when I read the book. I love how you included interviews and advice from the NFL pros. You interviewed elite quarterbacks Matthew Stafford, Jared Goff, former NFL Andrew Whitworth, Michael Strahan. Those interviews are really hard to get. You also mentioned several players, Tom Brady, the GOAT, Patrick Mahomes, Julian Edelman. What made you include NFL in a women's flag football book?
Flag football is just being taken from the NFL and like being taken from the game of boys tackle. So just to have that base and the best of the best from the base sport. But from those players, they also talked about how they wanted to play flag too. Like Matthew Stafford mentioned how he might want to join flag like professional. So I think that's really cool that a lot of those professional players that play from the base sport can give you advice to this new sport that's being created from it.
And what was one takeaway from each of the interviews?
Also interviewed Deanna Flores and a bunch of like the big flag girls. So then there's like both interviews from both of the sports. But my biggest takeaways, I think for the Whitworth one, I think the coolest thing was just being a multi-sport athlete because that really resonated to me from playing all these sports. For Jared Goff, he talked about this indicator step that he has with his receivers. And I thought that was really cool because I asked him, I was like, how do your receivers just know when to turn for the ball like every time? They do this like step like in their route a little bit differently. So they're indicating like, I want the ball now. And I thought that was really interesting. And something Michael Strahan taught me was just to focus on like the job you have at hand.
And also to Diana Flores, let's absolutely talk about her. She's a pioneer in women's flag football. What did you learn from her as well?
She grew up playing flag on a dirt field because there was no one to support her. And just her saying that climb that she had, this power, this motivation, I think that was really inspiring. That was my biggest takeaway from her. Also with Vanita Crouch, she talked about how she just loved the game so much. She signed herself up in 10 different leagues. So she would have a game every single night. And Deanna Flores and Vanity Crouch, they're perfect examples of the drive that girls have for flag. And I thought that was super inspiring. And like,
You also included spotlights of your fellow teammates, which I thought was so special. What made you decide to include them?
well, I wouldn't be here where I am today without them. So they're 100% should be in the book and should be a part of my story. And they're all just so special too. I mean, my teammate Skyly Sid, she's so fast. My teammate Tessa Russell, like she was the first girl in flag to actually go up and snag the ball in the air better than any of the other girls, just like the guys could. So I thought that the girls on my team were really inspiring, and I was like, I need to add every single one of them into this book because they all have important moments of my life and of the game of flag.
And you also included the Queen, Taylor Swift. You talked about how she opened up so many women's eyes to football, and I think that's extremely important. Can you expand on that idea?
Well, this is kind of a fun question for me because I love singing and songwriting, and that's one of my biggest goals is that someday I could pursue more of my singing and songwriting. Just to have Taylor Swift bring her audience of singing and songwriting and music and her being an artist to football was really cool, really cool to see, but also to bring all of those girls with her that all are interested in playing flag football. I've met so many girls like around the country just traveling that are like, I see Taylor Swift at all the games, so I watch all of the games.
Have you had any girls come up to you and ask for help or say, I did this because of Taylor and now I want to learn how to play? Has that happened?
Yeah, I mean, I get some emails. I actually called with a girl a couple weeks ago. She called me. She told me it was her first day of playing flag, and she was super scared. And her high school still didn't have a girls team, so she was trying out for like the middle school boys feeder team, and she was super scared because she had never played before. And she asked me to give her some tips, so I thought that was really cool. I gave her a bunch of tips, and she ordered the book, and I think that's really exciting. A bunch of girls asked me, here's all of my advice right here in a book. I just really just want to help girls play my favorite sport,
If there's a woman and she's interested, or a girl who's interested in playing, but she doesn't know where to start, what advice would you have for her?
My biggest advice is anyone can play. All you need to do is get 4 other girls and you've got a team. You can practice by throwing with anyone, just throwing, catching.
Flash forward to 2024 NFL Pro Bowl. It's playing in the stadium for 54,000 people, and you're being interviewed by NFL Network's and ESPN Network, MJ Acosta on the field. What was that moment like for you?
I mean, that was definitely the coolest moment I've ever had in my entire life. I mean, just to be appreciated and just to be able to show these girls the thing that I love and show all the people in the stadium like I want to move this game forward, and just to be like recognized was really cool. Like that was a really cool moment for me.
What do you think the future of women's flag football looks like?
Well, for sure, obviously the colleges, and then 2028 Olympics, and then after that, just that it's continuing in the Olympics is it's gonna grow over the course of the next decades. But just that it gets into all these big colleges. I know a lot of girls are really hoping to play. I'm really hoping to play flag in a good college.
And what colleges are you looking at for flag?
My dream colleges, I really want to stay somewhere local. I want to go to USC, UCLA. My biggest goal is Stanford. I'm hoping that the flag really gets into those colleges as like D1 or D2 sports.
Are you looking for a pro career in flag football?
Next year, I'm going to trials for the national team, and hopefully someday I'll be on the national team and I can just keep playing on the national team and, play in a pro women's league, which would be so cool. And just to be able to play in the Olympics and play in college, that's definitely my dream.
And Sophia, if anyone watching today's interview, they want more info on the book or women's flag football in general, how can our audience find you?
You guys can find me on Instagram at Anna Sophia Dickens, and I'm on TikTok and my website, and you can get the book on Amazon or Barnes & Noble, but you can find me anywhere.
I see great things in your future. I have a feeling this will not be the last time we see each other in this space. I wish you the best of luck in everything, and thank you so much for joining us today on High School on SI. All right, guys, next we've got sports clothing designer Mel the Clothing telling you how to slay your game day outfit.
When I need the latest in style and entertainment, I tune into the Blonde Blitz.
Hey Deb. Thanks for having me on the Blonde Blitz.
All right, we're having some technical difficulties. Mercury is in retrograde for sure. Let's get to the games, shall we? Please welcome third-generation sports betting expert Alex White to give you your best bet for Week 11.
It's time to get some NFL betting advice from Alex White and the Blonde Blitz. Win big so I can rob you later.
Hi Deb, hi everyone. Alex White here from Sports by the Book. Very happy with my Rams pick last week. Let's keep it going. Showing the AFC West some love this time. The Broncos 8-2 on top of that division. The Chiefs 5-4. So it's an important game for them. Luckily, they're coming off a bye week, and that means extra time to prepare. Defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo, one of the best in the business. He's going to have a good time here shutting down this Broncos offense that's already struggling. Now extra time to prepare. Right now, 17th in the league in points per game, 18th in yards per play. Bo Nix, 18th among starting quarterbacks in his average passing yards per game. On the other side, though, Patrick Mahomes and company, they're going to struggle because this Broncos defense is elite. Third right now in scoring defense. First in opponent yards per play. They're also the best red zone defense in the league. The Chiefs, it feels like they're struggling on the defensive side, but they're fourth right now in points per game, and their strength is against the pass. J.K. Dobbins is questionable right now, so it's going to be a tough time for both offenses. You know what that means. 44.5. We're going under that total. Best bet of the week here in Week 11. Have a great weekend, everybody. I'll check in again next week.
Thank you very much.
All right, thanks so much, Alex. And of course, we cannot talk sports betting without talking fantasy. Here's fantasy expert Baller Meg with her advice for week number 11.
When I'm looking for fantasy advice, I listen to Meg from TSS Fantasy.
Hi guys, Ballers Meg coming at you with the fantasy football section of the Blonde Blitz podcast again this week, where I'm giving you some advice on which players I would be picking up wherever possible. Starting off over in Dallas with Javonte Williams, who's facing a Raiders side this week that we know have not been the top shelf performers that we would expect. Javonte Williams looks to be putting on points week in, week out, and I would be saying he's a safe bet for your fantasy football squad. Next up, we've got Lad McConkey over at the Los Angeles Chargers. I'm seeing him putting on a lot of points this week against Jacksonville Jaguars. I think he has got an absolute field day to have, excuse the pun, against that Jaguars side. And I'm excited to see what he can do as well. Finally, last but not least, Woody Marks over at the Houston Texans. I'm seeing him again having so much potential this week. He's facing a Tennessee Titans squad that have been on that struggle bus all season. They have struggled to even get that one win. So I'm saying that Woody Marks is a safe bet to add to your fantasy team this week. Also with limited targets at the Texans, he is definitely one of the top performers there. So let me know how you get on, and for more hints, tips, tricks and advice, follow me at Ballers_Meg across all social media platforms, and check out TSS Fantasy for an in-depth look at your Week 11 games this Sunday.
This tape will self-destruct in 5 seconds. Good luck.
All right, thanks so much, Meg. Next, Intuitive Reader 333 Ask Carrie is using her power deck to predict the Bengals versus Steelers game this week. Carrie, what do you got for us?
Let's see what the power deck cards say about these NFL team futures.
333 Ask Carrie here, ready to give you Week 11 predictions for the Bengals versus Steelers game using my power deck. So there are two major transits astrologically that are going to be impacting this particular game, I feel. And that's going to be first Mercury retrograde. Now, Mercury retrograde is a very slow moving time. That's right. We feel like our feet are in mud. We also have miscommunications, transportation breakdowns, misunderstandings. And one of the things that I feel might be happening and how it relates to football is the fact there might be a controversial call and or maybe an injury or two. I don't know. Unfortunately, hopefully not a combo of that. And then the second transit that I feel is going to be very impactful is Venus and Scorpio. Now, Venus and Scorpio really brings out the teams that give that all or nothing vibe, or also very much so a rivalry type of a feel to the game. So in other words, I feel like it's going to be a pretty intense particular game, and I don't think this is going to be the only game that's like that for this particular week. But let's see how these teams do. First, let's talk about the Bengals. The Bengals is very an earth and water type of an energy going on. We have Joe Flacco, who is a Capricorn, and then we have Jamar Chase, who's a Pisces, and together they have this very grounded yet flowy vibe. And then they proved that last game, and it was a pretty close one for them. So I'm sure that they're going to hope that they could only do that again and resurrect that type of energy. Then we have the Steelers, and they are on home turf, guys, so they are ready to rock and roll. We have Aaron Rodgers, quarterback, who is a Sagittarian. That's a fire sign. So, and then they have a water vibe because two of their other key players are Scorpio and Pisces. So they have this like very it's a very fiery yet very balanced flow of energy. So who's going to win out? Let's see from the power deck. Let's start with the Bengals. I have the Queen of Pentacles or the Queen of Clubs, which kind of indicates that they are coming off of a very money-making type of a game or a feel. And then we have the Two of Diamonds for the present card. Two of Diamonds indicates that at halftime they might be pretty close, neck to neck in scoring. And then the Three of Spades, though, is their final card, which means that in the future they are going to have a loss, and it might be related to this game. Now, what's happening for the Steelers? First of all, guys, they're on home turf, so they are super happy to be coming back onto home turf with the Three of Diamonds. They are on a great streak here with their ranking. And then also, King of Hearts is their current card, so that means that probably a combination of those sweethearts, Aaron Rodgers, and the other two water sign players that are coming on, because hearts represent water. And then we have the Three of Hearts, which indicates that there'll probably be at least 3 major plays that they'll make, whether they're touchdowns or really just great comeback plays, and ultimately win the game. And the final score being Bengals 21, Steelers 28. Okay, back to you, Deb. Have a great week.
Thanks so much, Carrie. We will see if your predictions are correct. All right, guys. Ben Troupe, former tight end for the Buccaneers and the Titans, is here. He's here to help me with Week 11 game picks.
Bring in Deb and Troupe so we can get our NFL picks.
Hey, Ben. How are you?
How you doing, Deb?
I'm really well. How was your week?
Oh, it was good. I mean, the Titans didn't play, so I didn't have to worry about that misery. But Florida did play and look awful. So, but I mean, I'm always looking forward to these games. Always looking forward to the games.
All right. Well, let's talk about Bills versus Bucks Sunday at 1 p.m. What do you got and why?
Ooh, the fact that the Bills and the Bucks both coming off losses, which is a rare thing to say, right? You got two teams of that caliber, but I think the Bills need this game. While the Bucks lost, the Bills got embarrassed. The Bills got embarrassed by a Miami Dolphins team. I mean, a Miami Dolphins team that didn't have no Cheetah. I mean, what Dolphins did? No Cheetah, no Jalen Phillips, no Jalen Ramsey, no GM, and they beat the brakes off the Bills. Yeah. I got the Bills winning this one, but I know the Bucks will not go quietly into the night.
Absolutely, and the Bucks actually lead the all-time series 8-5. And some interesting stat here: the Bucks have never won a regular season game in Buffalo. ever.
I mean, has it gotten cold in Buffalo yet? Because if it's gotten cold, that's not going to bode well for Baker Mayfield and company.
Right. Well, I mean, both teams are 6-3. I think this is going to be a close game. Bills are motivated, like you said. They lost that last one to the Dolphins, but you kind of never know what Bills team is going to show up. Right?
Yeah.
That's the problem here. Bills tight end Dalton Kincaid. He's questionable for Sunday. He's obviously Allen's favorite target. I think the dominant Bills will show up against a good Bucs team. To be honest, the Buccaneers. They're missing their top 3 offensive weapons: Bucky Irvin, Michael Evans, Chris Godwin. I feel like, though, a ground game led by Josh Allen and James Cook should be enough to take down Tampa. So Bills are favored by 5.5. I'm going Bills.
Okay. I like the Bills too. Sean McDermott, hey, sir, you better start getting some wins, because losing to the Dolphins like that, and the class of the AFC East right now being Drake May and New England. He's definitely on the hot seat.
And it's gonna be raining in Buffalo. It's gonna be in the 40s. There are going to be some high winds, so it's not going to be cold necessarily, but the high winds might be questionable for kicking, and we know how much the kicking has, the entire season has come down to some kicks. So we'll see. I'm going Bills. All right, let's go Seahawks versus Rams. Cannot wait for this game. Sunday at 4:05 p.m. Who you got and why?
This is going to be probably the game of the week. I know we got some other games on the slate, but Sam Darnold and this entire Seattle Seahawks offense led by Jackson Smith, enigma. I mean, the way he's playing right now, I think is already over 1,000 yards. This defense led by Leonard Williams and company. I like the Rams. I like Puka. I like Devontae Adams, which we'll see how his health is. I mean, I don't know what it is about Matthew Stafford. As he gets older, he seems to keep getting better. But the more complete team is Seattle. While I like the Rams, I love Seattle. I'm going to go with the Seahawks.
Oh, wow. All right. I have to go Rams. Obviously, I cover them. I think Stafford should definitely be in MVP talks. He's averaging 4 touchdowns a game, which is insane. Darnold's playing great, though, too. Both teams are 7-2. They have both won 4 straight, both balanced teams. I think it's going to come down to the defense and who can stop the ball, right?
Yeah.
That's what it's going to come down to. The Rams rank 2nd in the NFL right now, allowing just 17 PPG, and the Seahawks rank 4th at 19.1 PPG. So I'm giving the edge to the home team. SoFi will be on fire. Rams.
It will.
Those Rams are a 3-point favorite. I'm going to go Rams. So we'll see who's right there. Another really good game. These last 2 are great. Chiefs versus Broncos, Sunday at 8:20 p.m. Who you got and why?
Who would have ever thought that the Broncos will come into this game 8-2, and the Kansas City Chiefs will be chasing the Broncos right now, like what Bo Nix and company is doing, Cortland Sutton and those guys. But it's something about this Chiefs team that you realize, hey, man, this is when we got to start making a run. We respect what Bo Nix and Sean Payton have done. But I just think this Kansas City Chiefs team understand that they have underwhelmed at this point, have won some games, kind of let people know they're still a very, very good team. But they need this win. 1, because it's a division game, and 2, we don't want Bo Nix to come to put too much space in between them, because you still got to deal with the Chargers, who are surging. Give me Kansas City. Good game. But I got Kansas City winning this one, because I think the Denver Broncos, while they're 8-2, I don't know how impressive of an 8-2 it is. Yes, it's 8-2, and I'm going to respect what they've done. But I'm going to go with a better quarterback, better coach. That would be Andy Reid, and one Patrick Mahomes.
Absolutely. I agree with you, too. I think the Chiefs have this one. The Chiefs are all-time 73-57. Broncos have won 7 straight and are 5-0 at home this season, but I don't think that's going to make a difference. Andy Reid is 22-4 in his career after bye weeks.
Wow.
Yeah. So KC is well rested and ready to go. So I think they're going to dominate, and I think it's going to come down to the wire, but KC normally performs great like that. So the Chiefs are the 4-point favorite on this one. I'm going to go Chiefs as well.
All right.
We got the last game. We got Lions versus Eagles, Monday Night Football, under the bright lights. Who do you got and why? You know who I have already.
Of course. Let me tell you why I'm gonna go with the Lions, and I respect what the Eagles have done. Bringing over Jalen Phillips, he paid dividends.
Yep.
Against Green Bay. You talk about Saquon having a nice bounce back game against the Green Bay Packers, but Nick Sirianni doesn't get enough credit for how much turmoil he has to deal with within the locker room. A.J. Brown is making a lot of waves right now. He's not getting the football. He's not happy, and he's not supposed to be. They are winning, but he seems like a very disgruntled wide receiver right now. He's not a diva. He's just disgruntled. I know he had a lot to say today in the media. Sometimes inner workings of Nick Sirianni, what he does a good job of is not letting distractions become outside of Philadelphia and affecting the game. Jalen Hurts is a man of very few words. He's not going to say much. He's just going to go out there and win. But I think this Detroit Lions team knows that we got to win against teams like Philadelphia to prove not just to ourselves but to the rest of the league that we're a team to reckon with. Because when Detroit played against Kansas City, that game kind of got away from Detroit. And you got the two-headed monster at running back with Montgomery and Gibbs. You talk about what Amon St. Brown does. Aiden Hutchinson is going to learn why Lane Johnson is one of the best right tackles in football. But it's going to be a good game. But I just think Detroit is going to prove to Philadelphia, hey, man, y'all might be a better team than us, but y'all going to have to reel some of this distraction stuff in, that being A.J. Brown, talk about the offense and what the defense, is making up for them. Love the Eagles, never, ever like to go against them, but I'm going to go with Detroit only because of the distractions coming out of their locker room right now.
Yeah, no, and I agree with you. This is going to be a great game. Lions have a really good shot at this one. This could be the NFC Championship preview. Let's be honest, right? And it'll definitely be a playoff preview in general. All-time Eagles are 18-16 with the Lions. What else here? Lions are 6-3. Eagles are 7-2. Eagles just stacked up a defense, like you said. Dan Campbell did take over the play calling. Lions are looking better. But I think when it comes down to it, this is a night game at the lake. It's one of my favorite times of my life, right? When I am at a night game at the link. It's so much fun. You mentioned Aiden Hutchinson. Fabulous defense, but can you stop Saquon?
Yeah.
You think you can?
Can you stop AJ? Can you stop Devonta Smith? Can you stop Jalen Hurts? Can you stop Dallas Goedert? It's a lot of moving parts. It's really a pick your poison type offense. It just comes down to what type of play calling are they going to do? Are they going to be aggressive? Are they going to be conservative? Are they going to run the football? But if anybody can right the ship, it's Philadelphia. I think they don't care how they win at this point, Deb. I just think they want to win. It's just they're going to have to reel AJ Brown in because it's one thing for a star player to say something, but it's another thing to be asking his teammates about what he's saying. Because I can't validate and invalidate what the man is feeling. It's just we winning, and sometimes winning don't mean that you're going to be a key contributor. He just don't have the numbers he's used to having.
Right. No, yeah, absolutely. I actually do think that this game will come down to Jalen's run game too. He's going to have to do a little bit of a run game here to beat the Lions. So Eagles are favored by 2.5. I mean, I'm going Eagles.
All right. You can never go wrong picking the Eagles. Let me just always say that. Never go wrong with that.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Ben, thank you so much for being here. Your show is up next. No weddings in the fall. Everybody stay tuned, please. Today's show is sponsored by Wish LBI and Underdog Fantasy. Go to Underdog Fantasy and use promo code BLONDE and we'll double your deposit up to $100. All right, guys, if you liked tonight's show, please subscribe and you can follow us on all socials at The Blonde Blitz. All right, guys, football forever. See you next week. Go Birds.